to Healings and Meditations with Frank Jordan and the Earth Mind Think Tank Group. We welcome all listeners and chatters. Any questions can be called in to 1-775-657-5973. 1-775-657-5973. If you're in the chat room on Wolf Spirit Radio, which is wolfspiritradio.com/wolf chat, please post questions in uppercase letters, in capital letters. Thank you. Now on with the show. You're listening to Wolf Spirit Radio. April the 6th, 2014. Healings and Meditations with Frank Jordan and the Earth Mind Think Tank Group. This is Wolf Spirit Radio, No Borders Radio, BeyondRadio.com. Thank you very much. Hello. How are you, Frank?
Well, I'm well. Yes, it's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful day here in the West. There's a high pressure system moving in off the Pacific. It not bringing any rain with it, of course, but it's warming everything up so everything can begin to grow now. There's sufficient moisture in almost all areas now to bring the spring grass and spring flowers. And we're finally moving into spring. It's been very cold, very windy, very rainy, and but nothing like they've had back east. So our patterns are settling out. So our work is to look towards, again, the Alaskan Peninsula, the Alaskan Basin up there, and draw moisture down, cycle it through, distribute it to where the entire country can continue to grow and benefit. But other than that, it's looking towards the RV. It has not happened. I've seen no announcement today as predicted. Could come tonight. And as always, about the time Iraq gets ready to have anything really exceptional happen, the opposition forces rise up and prompt half of them to fight with the other half. So we don't know what's going to happen now, whether the RV is going to occur promptly or not, but half the world is on hold waiting for this to happen. Because actually it's apparently the linchpin that's going to allow the world RV to occur, the global currency reset. And so let's put all of our energy towards seeing that manifest and come through. And Joan is gone again. She's up in Washington visiting her son for a few days. And so once again, I'm here. Lots of time to meditate. Wonderful things happening in that respect. And had an interesting session today, which I'll tell you about shortly. But first I want to check with you, JP, and see what you've been doing that might be paralleling or coinciding with what we work on.
Oh, well, what a week. Quite an interesting week, actually. From dealing with the big Vatican thing. That happened a few hours after that show that we did. That was quite a moment for me. And I look very much forward to hearing what, I can't remember if it's Teresa or Diane, who had the soldier situation in their house. Very much like to hear what happened after that. So the week kind of started out with like really enormous compassions, and ended up that a friend of mine booked me a ticket in to see my spiritual teacher, Buddha Maitreya, and it was a really lovely meditation that we all did, and we all did ohms together, and it was all great. And he was talking about the fourth ray and all stuff. It's great. Just right up my street. So I've been kicking butt, and I got a great reward, spiritual reward for it.
Mm-hmm. Well, wonderful. Your energy feels wonderful. I just tapping into you lightly, and that's good. In reference to my day, I had a person call me actually yesterday for an appointment. And I'd not visited with these people for 25 years. I knew them when we were in San Francisco, and was very impressed with the lady and her metaphysical ability. She was learning to be a Reiki master at that time, and I thought there was just wonderful potential for the couple. And then we lost track of each other, moving around. But today they called me back with a particular request, that they're having a lot of negativity in their family. Their daughter actually requested for help for the daughter. And so in reviewing, as they reiterate the last 25 years of what they've been doing since they worked with me originally, I did teach them the clearing the way techniques then, and did some basic clearing work with them. And hoping they could springboard right forward and carry on the work themselves. Well, this last 25 years has been a living disaster for them, just one negative thing after another in the family. And as they reiterated, this was in their extended family also, their parents, and on into everybody involved with the family. It was just had a horrible life. And this really surprised me. So in investigating what happened, what really brought the negativity down on them, I sought to look and see if the lady particularly had a low self-indweller that may have came from a parent, and sure enough she did. But with a further expansion of that, it determined that what had happened is the father had been had been a diabetic, and the last 4 years or so of his life he lived on dialysis, and passing between her and her sister and whatnot, and lots of negative energy around this, and so I knew I had to go deeper to see what really was the problem, what the situation was, why they had so much opposition in life. And what I found was a morphogenic field, a group mind consciousness morphogenic field. And I've hit these things before, and so exploring it, working with it, we had to go back at least 5 generations in this family flow down the paternal side, and just to observe what created and brought forward into this lifetime, this generation, the extreme negativity that the entire family had, and it took everybody down. I mean, the only one that escaped was one of the son got away and went into the military, got away from the field of the family. And these are beautiful people. They're wonderful. Should have had a wonderful life. And so in looking deeper into this, coming into realization of what had happened, their low selves, passing down from the previous generations, their low selves were in such survival, such negativity, such domination, that they just could never free themselves up, even though they were metaphysically inclined and wanted really to have good lives. They just couldn't get broke loose. Everything they tried ended up in a disaster. So tapped into this field, this family consciousness morphogenic field, and the essence of it was, when I read it, and I can read those fields, what I felt was that there's just no hope. Everything we do is going to be destructed. And no matter what we do, what we ask for, what we create, we're going to lose it. Someone's going to take it away from us. And life is just not good. That's the way I expressed it. Life just cannot be good for us. And it passed around through the entire extended family. So, in backing out of that, I had the realization that we had to go all the way back in time, and for the daughter's sake, actually enter uterine, to when I knew these people, because I helped the lady through a very difficult pregnancy so the little girl could be born. And so we went back to that and regenerated a new reality for them by clearing the lady, particularly, and her husband, of the negative experiences, many of the negative experiences. We did this very, very rapidly. What used to take me probably 3 or 4 sessions with the person, I was able to do in an hour and a half. And we got her clear, and then we pulled back in her personal power. And by this time I'd explained to him about this field of energy, and we got her opened back up to her oversoul, and got her indwelling soul back in the body, and with enough clarity that she could move in. The indwelling soul could move fully into the body and take charge of the energetic system. It's just like taking over a computer that's gone haywire and reprogramming it so you could have a life again. And after that, and I let her primarily do it so she would learn too. We directed her attention toward this morphogenic field, deprogrammed it, and in the process of doing that, we had to go back in time and break down the standing waves. And this is physics, so working with the laws of physics to do this. We broke down the standing waves of that field so that attracted every negativity into their lives. And we cleared that field off of every extended family member. Then we had to go into Earth Mind and clear the akashic records that were holding the low self instinctive consciousness that everyone was expressing of negativity and wrong choices. Clear that so that they could start creating a positive life for themselves. Because no matter what right choices they would try to make with their high self, it'd just get overwhelmed by this huge morphogenic field that would pull them down. And so I was very in attunement with this. But by the time we got done, what we did is created a parallel reality, going all the way back in time from the point where the baby is born, bringing him forward in clarity, creating a reality where everything worked for them. They had a good, profitable, abundant, and generous life, and brought it up to this moment of time and extended it on into their futures. So from now on, they'll have a good, abundant life. And then we also extended this into the field. We created a new field for the extended family, and gave them the opportunity through making right choices and energetically feeling good about themselves and thinking positive instead of negative, that they could create a positive and wonderful reality for the entire family. So it's going to be fun to follow up on this and see how well they do. Because when we were aware that in the clearing work on the lady that we didn't, in an hour and a half, we didn't have time to get to the depths of negativity, but we got her back in her personal power again, her and her husband. The husband just was kind of had to stand aside and watch all this happen, even though he wanted to be helpful. He just didn't know what to do in their marriage, their lifetime, and it caused a lot of problems between them. But now I think that they're back to square one and start creating the new reality all over again. And the reason I'm telling you this is all of you folks out there that might be listening now who have had an ongoing negative reality. You just can't seem to make it work right. Your health seems to be pulled down no matter what you do. Your jobs are not satisfying or empowering to you. Your businesses don't seem to work well. Your relationships are a disaster and seem to repeat and cycle one after another. This could be where you have to go, is clear the group mind consciousness family of your close support network of the family, because these low cells have the incredible capacity of cooperating, working with each other for survival of the family. This family was just absolutely locked into survival, and it was their comfort zone. They couldn't do anything else or attract anything else, even though the man is computer techie and has had some good jobs and things, and yet those jobs would disintegrate on him for some reason. The company would go broke or something. He always attracted something to where it would end up being a disaster for them. They lost their home and went into financial crisis several times, and there was just no reason for it. They should have had beautiful lives because they're beautiful people. So in talking to you out there in the greater extended world, I just want you to know it is possible to deprogram a negative field, a negative reality, by clearing not only your own chakra system of the patterns and forms there that attract negativity, but also to clear the extended family. You heard me talk of how our families can hold us in form. Well, this is a wonderful expression of that, of how our extended family, with their negativity, can lock us into form. And I have a deeper understanding of how that works now with extended morphogenic fields. And so it's not that difficult to do. It simply requires that you understand what and how our realities are created and how they're held in form, and how to go back in time and deprogram the negative and reprogram the positive. And all that really requires is awareness, understanding of how it works, and a shift of consciousness out of the negative attractant into a positive attractant field. And so I'd like to ask the members of the Earth Mind Think Tank group if they can relate to this anyway, and please come forward and give us your experiences if you have anything that relates to any of this, and ask any questions where I can help you. Does anyone have any comments?
Well, Frank, this is David.
Yeah, David.
Yes, absolutely. You know, we've been doing some of this work, and what you've just described tonight is beautiful, classic clearing the way strategy processing. And I have actually been doing some of that, obviously, as you know, with my family and various levels of it, and the maternal and the paternal. Still got some work to do there, and but you crammed a lot in one session.
I sure did.
I mean,
it was incredible. I just kind of become the observer of it and let it flow through, and it was amazing that 2 hours we got that much done. But it ended up on a very positive note, and not only because when I do this type of work, as you are aware,
yes,
I don't just do it for you. I teach you how to do it for yourselves.
Yes.
And it's just like teaching a person to fish, you know, that old adage. And it is a highly enjoyable session for me to be able to empower and bring these people back into their personal power.
Yeah, and they actually can feel it. I mean, having experienced it myself and used it and know that, you know, even every time you do this, you actually, it's like a new discovery as you're doing the work. Well, you've got some skills, but suddenly you try something and you see success and like, okay, well, that's an interesting aspect to this work.
Well, that is quite true. We both learn because everyone has their own little set of circumstances, and yet overall out there, there's a commonality that runs through everything. And once you get into that flow of that commonality, you can trace it through the individual divergences in each family and apply them directly to the individuals. But more importantly, is bringing it into the consciousness, and I'm sure the psychologists are aware of this. God, I just wish they would open up and learn what to do about it, to accept the metaphysical instead of staying so locked in the psychological physical that they know and work in. And you know yourself, David, being a hypnotherapist, that the psychologists have not even begun to touch the depths of what we can get into.
No, and what's quite interesting is actually having studied psychology at the graduate level in college, you don't get the material that some of the great psychologists actually have understandings of these things, but that material never makes it into the books and into the coursework unless you're up at the higher levels working on a PhD and you actually read the original source material. So it's like it's buried and hidden, but there's a lot of truth if you can just take the time to go find it.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I am of the opinion it's a very first class they should all attend, and not be allowed to go on a step further if they don't get this class down, is how to understand clairsentience.
Yes, yes. And that morphogenic field, it's so crucial, understanding that we are energy beings, that we walk in energy, surrounded by energy, and that our thoughts are so dynamic in creating these fields and forms that hold us.
Does anyone else have a comment?
Well, it's like they're all still programmed into the way that it should be instead of what it could be.
No, I think the basic programming comes from religion that says, do not trust your psychic abilities, trust only God, and we are God, and we'll tell you what to think and what to feel.
Well, that's a given.
That's a basic block right there, and it's fascinating to me anymore how many people are coming back to me now that I've worked with over the years that say, the one biggest thing you did for me is clear that religious block right behind the third eye that blocks the indwelling soul from expressing.
Speaking of the third eye and blocking it, when people do go to church and they are blessed and they do the sign of the cross on their third eye, is that closing it or opening it, or does it all depend on you?
It's blocking it. It's putting the imprint of the religion right into that third eye, and with the intent of the priest or minister or whoever is doing it to take responsibility for the indwelling soul of this person, and asking that person to give up their personal ability of discernment and choice, and trust only the church to do the thinking for them as far as spirituality or knowledge and gifts and abilities, such as the psychic abilities, are concerned. So it's a horrendous block, and the more people have participated in religion, the bigger that block gets. I know it's when I go into some people, it's just like a glow of energy sitting there, but it's not a positive glow. It's a very negative, controlling glow. And by clearing that, it's just like they take a breath of fresh air and look around and suddenly can see the world for what it is, not for what's been programmed into them.
Well, I know that I've read that if you kiss somebody on the third eye, that helps them to open. And this particular person who had that blessing yesterday would not let me kiss their forehead because they had been blessed. And I found that very interesting.
Well, the only kisses I ever got on my forehead sure opened my eyes all right. So. Anyone else?
I'd like to share one of the sessions that I had with you, Frank, where I recall you taking all the family members and putting them over to the right and putting down a shade. And they were completely out of my field. And even if the thoughts come in, I put them back over there. Mm-hmm. And it was such an incredible experience of freeing. I've been working on myself, but this was, I don't even know how to put in words, the depths of the clearing was where I felt free for the first time. And what I found so profound about it is I have a very, very dear friend of mine who is very gifted with telepathy and many other gifts, and she's very heart connected with me. And as soon as you and I had this session, she called me like 5 minutes later. And she said to me, she goes, "Rachel, you're finally free. You are free." And I could not stop crying. I was so profoundly grateful. And it has really made a huge difference in my life. Just, I've worked on the Gestalt therapy, but it just doesn't clear it in the same way that this does. And I'm truly grateful to you, Frank. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Not only did it clear you on your mental emotional interactive level, the lateral plane, it opened your your vertical channels where you can access higher consciousness and lower consciousness. And that's where the growth comes. When you can start ascending upward in those psychic spiritual planes, that's when your gifts and abilities that are inherent in your DNA begin to express. And that's why we're constantly working to find clarity. I can't say it enough. But clearing the chakra system, deprogramming all the old crap out, all the negatives that hold you into this third dimensional plane, releasing all of that stuff so you can ascend vertically. And that with that vertically rising, so to speak, there's an expansion of clarity in all directions, so you understand how things work. And with that comes the power to do things with your mind. That's what the great mental power thing you hear about. That's how it can be done, is with clarity and understanding and directing with energy and intent into the standing waves, into the 0 point. So you're actually manifesting your reality instead of being subjective to it. That's my byword phrase. I love it. I created that. So I think I did anyway. I love it.
Well, that's very powerful, Frank. In fact, this week, doing some work for myself, I actually was doing the work in clearing a lot through Earth Mind. And as I finished, I moved on up to that process and just took myself on up through to Oversoul and literally climbed and expanded, 10, 12, 14 minutes, just endlessly. And it was a place I really did not want to come back from. It was just extraordinary in that time, literally watching myself just endlessly climb and expand. So that was beautiful.
Well, it is. And there's nothing I've ever seen or experienced in religion or in I've not experienced that much of the Far Eastern work, but what I've observed with people who have experienced that, this process of finding clarity and expanding in both directions, clearing down so you can move upward in the frequency ranges. For me, it's allowed me to access the higher levels of consciousness than what I've observed personally in interacting with anyone I've worked with. And I've worked with thousands of people, many of them who spent years over with the gurus and the big teachers and all of that. And yet, I think I keep bringing everything back to the purest and most simple thing possible. The greater clarity you have about how simple working the subtle energy is, yes, and letting it be simple and just using it energetically, not getting caught up in a lot of forms or dogma or superstition and all that crap. The simpler it is, the easier it is.
Yeah.
I know when I've had my time alone here this winter, when Jane was gone, I did a lot of meditating, a lot of personal work, and that wasn't in the clearing work so much because I got great clarity. It was just exploring and understanding what is possible through this process of going within, reaching up and down and finding that polarity balance and the stability that allows you to go up into higher consciousness with safety and control.
Yeah. Well, it's become a very clear process for me to understand. I've been experiencing how powerful thought is. As going through a process of getting clear, doing the clearing strategies and feeling really great clarity, and then kind of falling back and allowing those old thought patterns to open back up and literally feeling that happening and now witnessing it and being sensitive enough to that process is just really solidified how powerful our thoughts are to being good or to bring negativity.
You hit it right on the head.
My gosh, it's extraordinary if people could grasp that. That's a key.
Go beneath the dynamics of that to what's really happening. That's the way I do everything. Go beneath the dynamics and try to figure out what's really happening. And when we do this, the question arises in my head is, where does thought come from? Where do thoughts rise from within us? Well, unless you've learned better, thoughts primarily rise out of our low self, out of earth mind, the Akashic records of everything that's been programmed in the past, and or out of through our educational systems or our societies, the things we're commonly associated with as being knowledge and life and awareness. Right. That's all a lateral or a lower plane thing. And when we reach upward for spirituality, if you have too much clutter in your system, it will not come down and bring thoughts of higher consciousness and planes and ideals down into your system where you can use it and utilize it. And because I've said this many times too, that spirit will not come down, high soul will not come down into a cluttered house. And it just delights me when I can clear someone and have them experience just opening up and getting the clarity where their indwelling soul in their head can move back into the extended plane of consciousness and move down into the body. It is a wonderful sensation of being in power and in charge for the first time in your lives of this system. And once you have that, once you've anchored down, and this is another law that I know, is that you have to clear down before you're allowed to move up. And so as people gain clarity and move down, learn to work with earth mind and the female polarity, then with the knowledge that's in the Akashic records that you do have access to from the past, you can move upward through the crown chakra and on up into the higher planes of consciousness there, into the male polarity. Because remember, it's the male polarity and the female polarity that manifest, or literally on the manifestation is simply a distortion in waves of potential consciousness and distorted into a standing wave of thought. And thought is what manifests that form of the wave, and it becomes a standing wave, and the imprints to manifest and form all of our reality and all of our past history and the whole universe sitting out there. But it's a beautiful thing of coalescing time and space beyond the third dimension into the fourth dimension, where we can begin to experience all of this consciously and rationally in this physical level of consciousness. But with the understanding, the knowledge that this knowledge that's pouring into us is these thoughts. The thoughts that are creating the standing waves of our awareness right now are descending from higher planes of consciousness. They are not coming up from the old forms, the old religions, the old patterns of the past. And so when you get to clarity, you can open up and just as you're doing, David, you're learning to listen. I call this listening. When you can listen and have the clarity to feel the resonance of these thoughts come into form, and that gives you understanding that you've not been exposed to in any of your teachings or religions or habituations or anything else. Just like this is what's happening right now. This is Stephen talking to you. Mm-hmm. Stephen is bringing in information, passing right through my system, through Francis' system, and expressing it out through Frank. And with that is this coalition of understanding of what's happening here right now. And all of you who are listening, the way to imprint this into your systems is to just gain access to your subconscious mind by taking your awareness to your forehead, and because in listening to this with your rational mind, I want you to gather all that energy you can feel in your forehead now and pull it down to the base of your brain, release it down through the chakra system, and it becomes knowledge that you can use. So this is what we do in the clearing away techniques, is simply give you knowledge anyone can use and apply. And if they can't feel the energies, it's simply because they have blocks in their systems. And the first thing we do is always clear those blocks. Those blocks are programmed there intentionally, and to keep you from evolving into higher consciousness. Any questions?
Can you talk a little bit about somebody's typing really, really heavily on the keyboard?
Yeah.
If everybody,
take your notes. You should take your notes by internalizing, not typing. Okay, go ahead, JP.
Well, so yeah, if you could, you can click Control and M to mute your mic while you're not speaking. If everybody who's on the call can do that, that's the basic etiquette for being on the air. But otherwise, you get these strange echoes and things. So the first thing that I'm thinking about, Frank, is the pineal gland and the block that you say the religions put in. And
the block actually goes in front of your soul.
Yeah.
Not the soul sits there. It's to block you from gaining your personal power to where you can use your pineal gland. See, because when you step back with the soul into this field, that's when your psychic abilities are revealed to you. If you had a block put in, it says, no, you can't do psychic things. That's the work of the devil. Boy, it works. You don't do things like that.
All right, because what I'm thinking about, Frank, is this thing about these beings, these ancient beings that are carved all over the world on the rock walls, and some of them have like an eagle head, but they've all got this thing in their hand, and they're holding this thing that looks like a little handbag, right, which is probably the power supply, and then in the other hand they've got this thing that looks like a pine cone. And they're kind of walking forwards like they're using this to forward their advanced movement. Is that something that controls the pineal glands of people?
What this is, those powerful figures that the Sumerians put on their rock walls and whatnot, was a hawk-headed figure, the very powerful male figure. That little satchel he has in his left hand is the book of knowledge. It is the compilation on computer disks in that thing. That's just symbolic. The computer disks that hold all the knowledge of the universe that has come into form to this point. And so the second thing is that pine cone thing that symbolizes the pineal gland, because under a microscope the pineal does look like a pine cone, but all those little leaves are frequency receptors in the group mind conscious of the galaxy out there, or the galactic beings. All that knowledge that's gone before that is resonating out there. And in the physical form, it's represented in the left hand of that figure, and that other thing is what's drawing all that information in. It looks like it's projecting it out the way he's pointing it, but he's drawing information in through his system and controlling everything around him, or every scientific thing that the Anunnaki did, or everything that's possible through that left-hand power, because he controls that satchel that has all knowledge. Do you understand?
Literally, knowledge is power.
Knowledge is all the power, if domination is the concern.
So basically, he's got Wikipedia on an iPad, right? Or it's like. I mean, we've got these things now. That we got tiny things that do that can connect with all human knowledge. You know, we call that a smartphone. And it's connected invisibly to our, you know, magically. Is someone asleep? Or
if you
got heavy
had
breathing?
if you had read my first novel, God Could Be Meant, it describes how this pretty much all works. And the second novel, Return of the Gods, takes it a step further. The third novel, Return of the Goddess, brings the female energy in all of this. And the fourth novel, I've got halfway through when Jane got sick, and I've just been locked up and blocked ever since, and her death, and haven't completed that. But soon I want to get back and keep on bringing this knowledge through, the real knowledge about things out there that we could be applying in here, and this entity, this information is coming in through Stephen, and that's why when I say I spend so much time when I'm alone, just listening, meditating. That's what I'm listening to, and I get it. Well, no, I don't. I'm not being judgmental about anybody else who claims they're in contact with the outer powers and the evolved beings and extraterrestrials and all of that, because I don't judge anything that I haven't had personal experience with. But my connection to those that is operating now brings through just very clear, pure information that we humans can use and apply to our lives and our realities. And it's always a progressive thing. Each level of internalizing and understanding opens your consciousness to where you're ready and aware for another level to come in. And I've explained that many times of how we assimilate information and then internalize it and go through the neck of the bottle and rise up into the next level. But as we go through the neck of the bottle, it's vital that we clear and strip off everything that holds us in the old forms in the lower level. And that's a knack, too, within itself, of learning how to do that and yet take the knowledge with you so you can recreate in the next level anything you want to have in your physical reality. Does that make sense?
Absolutely makes sense.
Okay, I'm listening. It's like you're all listening right now. And so someone gave me a question.
Yeah, was I talking about the pine cone thing?
Right.
That was the blockage. All right, yeah, we're going back to the pineal gland, and the blockage. That if we could only just remove, you're saying that most of it is put there by a belief system that people have. Oh, you mustn't go there. That's the work of the devil, etc. Are there any other blocks that are kind of, like more hardware, some deeper sort of thing going on?
Well, we discussed one right at the beginning of the program of the morphogenic fields of group mind consciousness of a family, and how the family holds you in form, and how it's so hard to rise above the level of consciousness or the growth of consciousness within the family. It's just like if you start to move beyond them, you're going to get criticized. They're going to pull you back down to their level. You know personally, you know this yourself, when you're out interacting in the world, you get all this wonderful new stuff, and you bring it back to the family all excited and want to give them this knowledge. It's like hitting a stone wall. They don't want your knowledge, because that might make you better or more evolved or more advanced than they are. And so many of us learn the hard way to bring it up from the bottom, because you sure can't force it in from the top in group mind consciousness of family and community, or just even the community associates within the various levels of your work or your activities or anything. Judgmentalness is primarily based on the comparison of me to you. And if you show up with all this new knowledge, it makes me feel lacking because I did not find that knowledge first in this competitive male field of reality that we're in. See, that's a male trait. Males are extremely competitive, and so when they get together, they give knowledge. They use it for one-upmanship. I know this. What did you learn? Well, now I know that, so I can use that on the next person I communicate with. So males report. Females rapport. Females gladly share information of how to raise their kids better, or how to do this next wonderful thing in mathematics that takes them on up into higher levels of consciousness and things of that nature. So women are way ahead of men in terms of sharing information and being teachers and healers and guides. Sorry, men, but that's just the way it works.
Yeah, and well, back to JP's point having to do with the pineal, I've learned over the years also that away from the spiritual aspect of it, there's also just the very physical aspect of essentially toxic things coming into the body that affect, calcify the pineal, like the fluoride and chlorine, toxic drug levels we do, bad food we eat, all combined, I understand, can actually diminish the capability of that in addition to the other blocks that we've talked about.
Well, when you're a fish living in a swamp, yes, do you just suck in everything that floats up in front of your face, or do you sample it first and spit out the stuff that's not good for you?
You hope we do.
No, you don't. Because what comes in psychically, you're not aware that you're being downloaded psychically and bombarded with negativity and thought forms that are not beneficial to your higher consciousness. Yeah. And so you'd bode yourselves well to be as aware psychically of what you download as you are what you download into your stomachs.
Yes.
And there again, like, you were saying that you clear everything out of you. And when you clear everything out, you find the love that you really are within yourself. And when you are that love, constant that love, whatever comes into you, whatever they try to download into you that's negative, it won't take up home anywhere, because love does not attract or accept, I'll use the word negativity. So it just flows right on through you. So you have to keep clearing and being the love that you are, so that whatever garbage comes at you, it won't adhere to anything within your being.
Your little fish lives in a bubble that clears the way. Right?
Somebody's got to.
Okay. Tell us more about love, Catherine.
It's a choice. It is a choice that if you are walking through life, and a glass of water, you spill a glass of water, you have a choice of either cussing yourself out because you made a mess that you have to clean, or you can laugh going, oh gosh, I can't believe I did that, and then have to get down on your knees and clean it up. That is a choice. To love or be loved is a choice. To me, love does not have an opposite, but the closest opposite there could be is the fear of lack of love. So if you don't choose the love path of what you are, then you're in fear, which is also anger, irritation, all of the words that run amok with that. I believe that love got a bad rap in the 60s when they say make love, not war, everybody took it to mean sexually. And that's not what love is. And I'm going off onto another tangent, so I think that's where I'm going to stop.
Well, let's keep it going. Let's ask someone else what love means to them. Diane, what does love mean to you?
Oh, hi. Well, love, it's becoming everything. I look at the most simple things, objects, not even based on their purpose. I'm just enjoying seeing the things that are around me. I know it sounds really corny. I probably would be really obnoxious to be around if you weren't in the same state. But I'm really loving every creation because I understand how it got here, that we manifested it. So good, bad, or otherwise, I'm in love with it because there's something to learn from it. There's so many ways to look at it, to experience it. The colors seem more vivid lately. I'm just getting blown away by my own capacity to shift, just doing some of these sessions and working on the lower stuff, how much higher I can sustain with the awareness of love. You know, it's a presence.
Then love is life.
It's everything.
Rachel,
what is love to you?
Love to me is like all the emotion. Like I think of fear, I think of sadness, I think of grief, I think of all the different possibilities of emotion. And to me, love is like the context that holds all of it. Love is, I don't know how to explain it. It holds all of it. And then there's also something else for me is like the Sacred Heart. Some of this is so hard to describe in words. It's that feeling of a presence of something that we are, and it's so sacred and so holy, and it connects you to all life everywhere and the divineness of who we are. That's a little different to me, the Sacred Heart love, than when you talk about love. Is like, to me, it just is the context that holds all of it.
And that's what is experienced initially by choices made to create an abundance of love in your life that makes all the positive things expressed and attracts all positive things. And you just put your finger on what is missing in this family I was talking about in the first part of the show. They did not know how to create abundance with love, unconditional love. That 5 generations of the males were controllers and dominators and hateful, spiritual, spiteful people. And it kept the frequency level down in the domination ranges, the survival ranges. And even though the females tried to raise the love level, the spiritual level, the level of life, so they could have better lives. Isn't that simple? I mean, it's just that simple. It comes down to your choices. Do you choose to create a positive, beautiful, loving, empowering reality in life, or do you get to grovel down in the pit where there is no light?
I agree with you. It's all in the choice. And most people don't like to know that they have that choice because most of them are not choosing the light of love. They're choosing the darkness of fear.
Choices made for survival limit the options of what they can do to express in life.
I often find... Sorry, Frank.
No, go ahead.
That this survival mind is a mind that has that only sees like forwards or backwards or left or right, a two-option mind, whereas a more the next step mind is it looks left, right, and it can see that it can go up as well, or down, or just you can go back and then left. It can explore other options by evolving out of that survival mind.
Multidimensional.
JP, now that you're on the subject of survival mind, I wanted to follow up with you about my neighbor's boyfriend.
Oh yes.
Soldier.
Yes.
And in the private group, I had told him last week that there was a complete turnaround in 24 hours. It's quiet. The energy is completely different. I don't know if he's taken a permanent step in his healing, but maybe just even releasing the entities. Unfortunately, they do hang out at the bar in town, so it may be an ongoing thing, but I think there was a really deep healing done for him. And I feel a softness coming from him now when I look in his direction. The energy is not abrasive anymore. It's amazing.
Can you talk to him and tell him what happened?
Not yet. Not yet.
Again,
I'm working on making friends in a very, very non-threatening way, just smiling and waving. That's it right now.
Does he seem... the focus that I picked up from him was the prosthetic. It represented everything. Did it seem like he was more at home with it being part of him? Because this was the nub of the energy that I was getting off him. This is where the rubber hit the road.
He seems to be busy this week. He's working on a dirt bike. He has a dirt bike, so I think that maybe his energy is better. So he's taking on some activities that he hasn't been doing for a while. So that might be a good sign. As I say, I just see them from a little distance, and I'm aware of what's happening with them, and I'm mostly just picking up on the feeling that I'm getting from them. But seeing him working on his truck or working on his dirt bike, it's positive. At least he's not just sitting around drinking and screaming. And well,
that's interesting that he's working on a machine, because that will help him relate to the machine that he is now part of. He's as far as he's concerned, he's like Bionic Man now, and he has come to terms with that foreign object becoming part of who he is and inhabiting the same place where his etheric body still is. And that's where the discomfort comes in. He can't see it, he may not even be aware of it, but your body is still there, even your bits have cut off. You've still got the blueprint there, and it's there on the foot, and there's a piece of metal there where there should be flesh and bone. And of course that's going to jar. It's not the right energy. Bless his heart.
And who knows what kind of counseling he's got, if any.
Yeah, he has a greater appreciation of his mechanical aspects now.
I think so.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he may have been reflecting a form of a morphogenic field of others, maybe in his family, close by. The unsaid morphogenic field that there's something here that's insurmountable.
Mm-hmm.
Or just the fact that, as you were saying earlier, the family holds you informed. They see him as defective now. They see him as gone through suffering. There's too much sympathy and not enough compassion, perhaps.
And pulling the entities off of him gave him an opportunity to see and make a right choice instead of being prompted to wrong choice.
That's what I think.
Perfect. Well, I'm glad we could help.
Yeah,
and that's good. I have to say that started me on a certain path that evening, and my heart was wide open from that guy. I mean, it really changed my day.
I thank you too, because it switched me completely from a state of a little bit of fear and concern and wanting to protect to joining the call 5 minutes in, and you were talking about compassion. And I did a flip in my mind, and my heart opened, and suddenly I saw it completely different, and you guys took me right through it. And I don't know if he changed, but I changed for sure.
That's the way.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for the opportunity, Diane. It gave a leverage for a greater opportunity of compassion, which is, I hope, has put some benefit out. But just hearing hearing what you're saying, that the energies have calmed down completely, that just justifies to me, because, I'm still learning this stuff. Frank's been teaching us this stuff, and, I'm holding it in the light, saying, okay, yeah, I've heard about all the theory of this, and so I'm doing the sandbox and seeing if that can happen. And I do seem to be actually tuning into people and somehow grounding out energy that they can't express themselves. And that's what I feel like I was doing last week.
Wonderful.
And that's a very powerful point, JP, in doing this. And I'm doing the same thing. It's one thing to read it, and it's something very different to internalize it, use it, put it into practice, and watch it be successful. And then you know it, in your core, which is different than just reading going, oh, well, that sounds legitimate, but doing it is legitimate.
And when you have it in your core, you are automatically doing it to everyone around you, or that is in your field, morphogenic field or otherwise. So you're becoming a living force of consciousness out there, making the difference.
Yes. That's exactly what I said in my last show, that this is the nature of the second ray soul carrier, and other rays as well. But in general, the human soul has the ability to be impressed, like a coin is stamped, to be impressed by other people's expression. And they express, we get impressed, and that's like taking a copy, like a wax mold of something, and then we feel that, internalize that, and then express back whatever is the appropriate frequency to calm that down, to balance that out, because that's the nature of the fourth ray of the planet, and that's what we've learned to do. That's humans. When humans are healed, they just are naturally healers, exactly as you just mentioned. Thank you.
Precisely. I always said that every healing, no matter how mundane it might be, was a spiritual experience, and that everyone who experiences particularly a really profound healing, it creates a shift in their consciousness and opens them up to the potential of far greater things. These things I do, you can do, and even greater things.
Yes.
Well, shall we take a break and go do some great things?
Totally. What do you fancy? Something nice and meditative. I'm going to put some more David Hikes, which is this harmonic. I think I did I did one of those last week. Let's have a different track this week. Awesome stuff. Do you enjoy this? The harmonic chanting, Frank?
All right.
Let's do it.
Yep, it's coming. It's coming. I'm just finding a track here. This is Wind Horse Riders by David Hikes and the New York Harmonic Choir.
Are we back, JP?
Yep.
All right. I just have one request. Rachel, will you give us a tone?
You want any intention behind it?
Well, the intent to let the world know how beautiful those tones can be.
Okay. Malena Haleno moto tekor Helamona Helamonyena Haleyo Holi Honemor Heya
Thank you. Well, back to the present reality. Do we have any healing work to be done tonight?
No, everybody's fine tonight, Frank. That would be a funny night, wouldn't it? Everybody's good. No healings needed. Wouldn't that be it? That's one thing to look forward to, and we can have 2 hours of Stephen. So where do we start, folks? Let's go up here. I need healing. I've just started singing the hamster song in my head, and it's almost getting lodged in there. I need an earworm removal. Well, actually, let's start. Since we sometimes have problems with Skype, actually, the lines have been really good tonight. I've managed 3 full streams, plus uploading the archives while we speak, without a hitch or any squiddles on the thing. But I referred to it as a squiddy clear. I was kind of, what's the word, astrally travelling down the internet lines, and it's a bit like going down some kind of underground tunnel. And there's all sorts of things down there, like floating about, that, don't really always touch the lines, but sometimes they mess about with the lines. So I was wondering if we could do like a kind of sort of like using one of those jet sprays in your drains kind of thing for the internet lines. But let's start with between all the Earth Mind group and the Wolf Spirit listeners, and we'll go on from there. Eh?
Internet Roto-Rooter?
Yeah, a squiddy clear.
Well, I'm at a bit of a loss. Not having experience of doing electronic healing before, of electronic things. So let's ask. Well, interesting. What's appearing is that the only difference between a physical thought or intent or an expression and the electromagnetic one is the carrier involved in direct communication through the psychic channels. If we have clarity, we don't experience any kind of squigglies. In the electrical world, because of the needs of the physical materials involved and all the network connections it has to go through, there's opportunity for, what did you call them? Squiggle curls?
Squiddies. It was from the film The Matrix. They had these they're like little mechanical octopus-like things that got drills on the end that drill into things and disrupt them and stuff. They're like electronic octopus, sentinels, cameras, defense mechanisms.
Okay, what I'm being shown is that those electrical communication systems all have intent directed into the information or the energy that passes through them and through the portals they have to go through and the paths they have to take. And so we, using the subtle energy field that surrounds those, we can direct our intent, our thought, into these similar systems, and the intent being to avoid any of the squiggles or squirrels or whatever you want to call them. And so I'm feeling an energy field flow out from me right now into this computer. So let that happen to all of you. Just let your heart center open up with the realization that our heart center is operating on a form of electromagnetic activity too, to the point where it translates into the subtle energy field and becomes manifest out in this physical world. So we can do the reverse by putting our intent into our subtle energy field. We can direct it into the electromagnetic. Now my hands are getting hot. So do that. Let your hands direct your hands towards your computers. And the intent is, interesting, it comes from the heart center. Express love into these electromagnetic systems, visualizing clarity all the way through the system, just like we would do it if we were clearing the nerves in a person who is having nervous problems of some kind. We want to clear the nervous hookups through all the extended arteries and channels and neural systems of the computers, the web that connects all of the computers together. And we're bringing in a flow, and this is a directed thing that's actually happening, that creates a field of consciousness, energy, and a protective field around the mechanical connections and the hardwiring of the cables, so that the systems are protected from any kind of interference or negativity. And they're also urging me to include the activities of the dark side, which we see often that interfere with the Skype functions. We're willing into this, and this is like an internal prayer, reaching to the universe, to the galactic flow, and willing through prayer, praying that all of these computers, all these conductors, all these subtle energy fields of the airways that become electronic, not carried by the physical carriers. We're seeing perfection in these. We're feeling the perfection of them and seeing them protected from negativity or limitation or interference of any kind, because these are an extension of our consciousness. Not only did we create these systems, but we created them as being an extension of our own communication systems. And that energy that's flowing from your hands, interesting. It's like a little more solid and firm than more mechanical. My computer seems to like it. It's glowing right back at me anyway. All right. This is taking a lot of energy.
Yeah, it feels like it's relining the walls of the tunnel. In a way, it's a bit like MS, and it's like rebuilding itself from multiple sclerosis, like nerve systems and nerve fibers recrystallizing themselves.
Very good, thank you.
Because fiber optic cables are a very long, thin silicon crystal.
Mm-hmm. This is so fascinating because we are hooked into everything in the world at this moment. As far as the media is concerned, and we're aware of how the media is so misused now, spying on people, collecting information. So let's create a wave in our hearts in the 0 point, reaching out, and if blocks occur anywhere, let them occur on the spy systems anything that would tend to influence or control our free thought, our free thinking, our free expression, or anything that would gather information on us and our private activities. And we do that, we follow back through those systems that are tied into the general system, to the computers, to the major systems, I don't have the words, the centers that are storing all this information.
The server farms.
The server farms, and we see the reverse flow going back, heating these things up, causing them to self-destruct. Because domination always self-destructs. And so we empower that law to where these dominator server farms will create their own self-destruction. Isn't that interesting? The awareness comes to me that even as we're speaking and doing this, the server farms are aware of what we're doing.
Yes, yes. Yeah, I felt the energy shift.
All right. JTP, you tell us when we've done enough or what to do.
Oh, it feels really good. You know what it feels like? A very cleanly swept, brand new railway station. Like the whole thing is really clean and open and airy. And it was before it was like a bit of a ghetto. You didn't want to walk through it.
And the awareness is coming in of how all this can be used for beneficial things like we do it. And what a wonderful tool it is when it's used in Dominion.
Absolutely, and you know, this is the use of I'm still blown away by Diane's message. So yeah, anyway, so shall we let's look at our next request. So let's poor old Arthur. So let's start off with all right, I'm just going to the back here. Someone's talking about Mars retrograde, and maybe someone can have a mention. But let's say Julie has said that she's been trying to open her chakras through your program for weeks now. Can you send me a boost sometime today? So do you want to? I don't know. Maybe another show about like the whole story about opening and closing chakras, because they're like the iris in your eye, or the sphincters in your stomach. You know, they close and open to stop energies moving through when it's necessary, and open when it's necessary to let them through. Do you want to have a quick word about chakras and see what you can do with Julie?
I think that would be a wonderful idea. Let's hold that one for our next show.
Yeah.
Because we can get a lot of energy, a lot of knowledge into that, and learn a lot of new things. I see Rachel requested a healing for Arthur Melville. Went into the hospital today. Lungs are full of fluid, pneumonia, and congestive heart failure. This has to do with its capacity to pump enough fluid through his kidneys to clear the fluids in his system, and so they accumulate in his lungs and literally just drowning. So we'll all send our direct attention to Arthur. I'm having the visualization of just moving that water through his system, through the natural systems of removal down through the kidneys, stimulating the kidneys, to clear the water and the system to pump enough, it's hard to pump enough blood to act as a carrier to clear the system. Through the power of the kite within us, we see Arthur in the perfect and normal condition. Clear any pneumococcus or pneumonia from his system. I feel a tightness in his chest now. It does feel like pneumonia. He can hardly breathe. And the pressure on his heart is very restrictive. Clear that pressure away so he can breathe deeply. All right. All right, now we close to Arthur. We'll allow that to continue. Switch your awareness to Susan. Avery Brown. She's going into surgery this Tuesday for issues with the female system. She's in a lot of pain. We focus our awareness again with the realization that the real need to be cleared is the mental emotional trauma that she stored in that system. So we create a torus directly behind the system, clearing, releasing from that entire chakra area. The issues patterned there, taking her back in time, clearing the standing waves, putting healings on the fibroid cysts, shrinking those down. And since she wants to hang on to the uterus, we see the uterus in the perfect and normal condition. See, no pain, no pain. Close to Susan. Healing request from Matthew in Portland in rehab for binge drinking addictions. The best thing we can do for Matthew is clear those entities off of him and prompt him to drink. So we simply extend the flow of awareness to Matthew, wrap him in a protective field that drives those entities back to their own source. Through the power of the kite within us, we clear you. You must release. You must go back to your own source. We cannot remain in Matthew, living vicariously through him, or prompting him to drink. Matthew's low self. We prompt you to listen to your high self. If Matthew, through his own choice of higher self, would not drink, so low self, you must listen to Matthew for your health, for your spiritual growth, rejuvenation. Through the power of the Christ within us, we clear you, give you the opportunity to make right choice in your future actions. We clear the addictive nature from your system, the chemical nature release. And so it is. Now, Christine, Need the healing on the bowel cancer, which is flared up with more pain. Christine in Tucson, Arizona. All right, I'm using the power of the field of our group mind consciousness. Directed on that bowel cancer. We see it shrinking. Through the power of the Christ within us, it does not exist. Reminding Christine and anyone she knows who has the ability to do clearing work to help her to work, release the mental emotional cause of this situation. All right, Christine, if I were to counsel you personally, I would say that, and I think I can share this, as I've expressed before, cancer is an honorable way of releasing, literally committing suicide. And it's your choice to totally get hold of your life and your reality, and or to go with this in an honorable way of release, doing what you feel you have to do. But we honor your request either way. We've given you the energy to heal with, if you'll take that energy and express into your subconscious mind exactly what you want to do with the rest of your life and your family. Through the power of the Christ within us, we empower you to make your choice and to follow through with your own healing and will and intent. God bless you in your choices. And so it is. Do you have anything else, JP?
Right. Well, actually, one of the things that I wanted to ask for was, it's a local group that we have here in our local town, and they're all friends of mine, and there's a big kind of there's like power struggles and things going on. Is it possible to release some of those tense energies there? I know it's everybody's choice, but is there a way of helping everybody see the light? And the third option, the multidimensional light, thing.
Pardon me for chuckling. From my view and perspective, they're children competing for their ego expression, and there's a learning process involved in that. There's a way of learning that domination only brings up more contention. In dominion, they would simply come to an agreement that's beneficial to all concerned and not just for the combatants that are involved. So let's just wrap them all in a wonderful, loving flow of unconditional love and dominion. And you observe to see if it prompts them to start working with and for each other. Here we go. Now this is an interesting feeling coming out of my hands now. These are frequencies of this are clearing way back into time, and this has been an ongoing, not just this issue, but for lifetimes back in your little village there. So we clear Earth mind of the past occurrences where people struggle to make right choice, struggling with the domination issues that are inherent, particularly in males. And we just pour a canister of love over the entire village, because I know that many of you there are seeking to learn how to live in dominion. So let's spread the fruits of your labors around energetically. Realizing that for everyone there is a right way and a wrong way. So encourage them to look out the other's eyes and realize that their right way and wrong ways from that perspective is the same as yours. And so come to compliance, compromise, unconditional love, in dominion. We imprint that into the earth mind of the locality to neutralize the old standing ways of domination. And so it is. Well, give us a report on that one, will you? That'll be interesting.
Well, we'll see. Nikki, if you're watching, it's actually something that I'm not kind of involved with because I've got other things to do at the moment. But it's like people, well, it's like my best mate and my ex-girlfriend are kind of at loggerheads with groups of, within groups of other people, it does feel like possibly an old karmic situation working its way out. But I love your metaphor, the canister of love. Yeah, crack one open. So we'll report back, and that's awesome. Thank you.
Okay, do we have anything else?
Let's have a look. So we have the bowel cancer, yes. Let me just see. I'm going to check on the Will Spirit. Right. Christine is reporting. Thank you, Frank and EMTT. I made the right choice to live and complete my purpose here on Earth. So well done, Christine.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Yeah. That was bothering me. Yeah.
So we've got... this is JJ. Actually, her name is Jean. I'm not getting. She's got back pain, but I haven't got a location. I'm trying to find a location for Jean. I don't know, but so we're looking at JJ in the chat room. Could everybody tune into JJ? See her? Yeah, she'd like a healing, please, but no location or anything like that. So JJ, tune into us. Tune into Frank. Tune into his voice, and he'll be able to connect with you, okay?
All right, JJ. Clairvoyantly, if I've got you picked up properly, it looks like it's in the high lumbar region. I'm going to wrap a spiral of energy around that now to pull that thing back into alignment, and we'll send a spiral of energy down lower, about 2 more down, right there. You have some curvature in your spine. Through the power of the Christ within us, we see these discs in the perfect and normal condition. And you take this and apply it. If I'm seeing it wrong, but I'm actually seeing 2 places. It's need work. I love doing discs in people's backs because There's very few things we can demonstrate in healing that has such immediate and total response as what this does. And what I'm doing for explanation to you healers is I'm spiraling counterclockwise, looking at it from the back. Chartreuse green energy, counterclockwise until the disc plumps up when it's full and the alignment occurs. Then I go clockwise with a thick, heavy energy that acts like a cast to hold the energy in there. And actually, the counterclockwise is a negative polarity energy that has the materials, and the clockwise is the positive polarity that has the form. So the positive one tells the cells what to do, how to form back into pure and perfect form. Now we close. Now stand up and move around and give us an immediate report if we got it right. Can you do that?
She's in South Dakota. So give her a couple of minutes, and we should be able to see what she types into the chat room. Now, what was I going to say? I can't remember what I was going to say. You're the psychic one. What was I going to say?
Let me say something. Frank, that was one of the better explanations on using clockwise and counterclockwise and what they do. Beautiful job. Thank you very much.
Well, you're welcome. I knew that all the time. Why didn't you?
Because I'm thinking with the earth me.
Okay.
As one psychic greeted another, "You're okay, how am I?" Are you out of your mind? Anyway, so how do I, where are we? So we got about 15 minutes left. We haven't had very much activity in the chat room. Don't know. How are you doing, JJ? Yes, she says. Yes. That's it. She just says yes. She's a woman of few words. Bless your heart, Jean. Thank you. But yes, right.
If there was an explanation point there, then we were happy.
Just a big yes, just big letters. That'll do. Right. So who else we got? I'm just trying to think that there was somebody that I know locally who I needed to bring along. The friend that you worked on last week was good. It's good. Go on, Frank.
Say that again.
The guy that you worked on the other week, who'd been in hospital with the appendicitis, and they clipped out lots of his guts. He's recovering very, very well. So thank you very much.
Good. Okay. I have one. The daughter of the couple that I spoke about at the first part of the show, she has a terribly inflamed acne on her face. It really isn't acne. It's just her face erupting from this morphogenic, or this shield she has over herself, protective shield over her face. And I did a healing on her, but I'd like to use the group mind healing also to help. We cleared her self-worth. I'd like to stimulate the healing of the tissues now. She feels so bad about herself she can't even go out and find it work. So, all right, thank you. I'm pulling in your energy now. And through the power of the Christ within us, we see this girl's face in the perfect and normal condition, her entire body cleansed of negative self-worth and the rejection of her femininity, You wrap her in a field of protective, healing love. We've already protected her from the person she's divorcing. Now we bring back her self-worth, bring clarity into her reality. And so it is. Okay, very good. Next, anybody?
Okay. Julie's still trying to open her chakras through your program.
Is this Julia from Boulder? Not Boulder, Basalt that I know?
Possibly. I don't know. She's just Julie there. But we've also got Just Me. Where's Just Me? See, it's really important that you put things in uppercase, because otherwise I can't figure out when somebody's asking a question or whether they've whether you're just chatting. So it's really important. Just Me says, please help me. What's that? Open skin lesions, scalp, Fripple neuropathy. PHRI, Fripple neuropathy. She's in Columbus, Ohio. That's Just Me.
All right, we already have her connected. All right, I feel this wouldn't be more jealous.
She's had shingles.
Shingles, okay. All right. We see the measles virus dampening down its influence. Actually, it's not the virus, it's the reaction, chemical reaction. So we're flushing her body now to clear out the chemical reaction that's been latent in her body ever since she had the measles. Or chicken pox. It's chicken pox, isn't it? We're wrapping her entire system now, her nervous system, where the chicken virus is still lying along the neural system. We're clearing those pathways, flushing that with a deep blue blue is the color that heals the nerves. Rachel, can you help us with this one? Just hit the frequency that neutralizes smallpox, not chickenpox virus.
Okay.
Perfect.
Awesome.
That was incredible. I was watching them, and that just it was like they just shriveled up and disappeared. Thank you, Rachel. That was wonderful. Okay. Anything else? Any question about anything at all?
Frank, I have a younger brother that starts a new job tomorrow, and I'd love to infuse him with energy and power and grace and move it forward.
All right, David, you do that.
Yeah.
And we will offer you love and support while you do it.
So I see him absolutely stepping forward, no looking back, surrounded by pure light and grace, and by the power of the Christ in all of us, share that immediate, powerful movement forward in his life.
With full confidence.
Full confidence.
Very good. That felt good.
Right, I know who it is now. It's Dave. Poor fellow, he hasn't had a night's sleep for days.
Oh, goodness.
And, we don't want Dave to get cranky. We really don't want Dave cranky. So, Frankie, can you help the cranky?
That's our Dave?
Yeah, Dave Corso, yeah. He's exhausted.
Oh, my golly.
Exhausted, tired and emotional.
All right, Dave. We're going to shift your internal clock. Dave, I want you to take your awareness up into your forehead like you do when you go with us into meditation. Drop your awareness right straight back to your psychic center. Now, when I do that, I hit quite an energy field there that just feels like resistance. There's something messed up your psychic center. It's also your clock, your sleep clock. So we're just going to make this go back in time to when you were totally normal and bring that forward in your standing ways until we feel this weird energy in your psychic center settle out. Through the power of the conscious in us, we see your pineal area and the other areas involved in your circadian systems balancing, coming into the pure and perfect cycles, sleeping, going immediately to sleep when you want to go to sleep, sleeping long and restfully, and waking up prior to your shows starting. Feel your whole system, your whole body relaxing now. Letting go of that stress. Let go from your solar plexus the stress of what you've been involved in that you haven't brought to completion yet. Just visualize it as coming to completion the way you want it to be, and your subconscious will accept that and let go of the stress that's keeping you, that got you out of your systems, out of your cycles. Now, David, I want you to feel yourself just relaxing deep now, just relaxing back. When you close your eyes with the intent of going to sleep, you're just going to drop back into a deep, totally restful sleep. Deeper and deeper. Every breath will drop you deeper into sleep, and you'll sleep as long as you want to. Wake up totally refreshed and not cranky, and even until you get to that first cup of coffee and that first cigarette. In short, we see Dave in his perfectly wonderful, wholesome reality that's created for himself. There. That feels good.
It actually felt like you swapped out a kind of machine part and regrew an organic part right in the middle of Dave's brain.
It felt
Did that
weird.
feel that to you?
Yeah, it was weird. It's all better now. Jean from Sioux Falls wants her neck worked on. All right. Do the same thing there, counterclockwise, green, on each of the weak discs, and clockwise with the white. Bring that one back into alignment. There. Jean from Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Move your neck around now. Move your head around. Let this thing come back into place. I have my hands on both sides of your neck now. Tip your head forward and backward. That's it. Okay, it feels good to me. All right. Okay, anything else?
I think that's about it, Frank. I'm just trying to find your outro. That's all. That's the only delay is where your outro is, and I don't know. Da 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 da. Oh, I can't find it. I'm looking down the list. Is it? No, oh, there we are. EMTT, Frank Jordan, outro bumper. Here we go. Thank you very much, everybody. Good night.
Well, we got to thank you.
Uh-huh.